I don't think most women need more motivation. What I think we need is more audacity. And there was three bold decisions that I made in 1 year. The audacity of me to do that all in 1 year, but it completely changed my life. And that's what I'm going to talk about in today's video because the thing is, I feel like if you're watching this video, you probably identify as driven, purpose led, ambitious, high achieving, all of the things. So I feel like oftentimes we as women, we hear, you have to be more motivated, you have to have more resilience, you have to have more productivity, you have to be more disciplined and all of the things. But for women like us, like, we already have those things. So it's like, then what is it that often keeps us stuck when we have those things? So when we talk about audacity, it's often framed as something negative, especially like when I was younger growing up. You definitely, when you heard the word audacity, you definitely thought about it as a negative. Like, it definitely wasn't something positive. It came off like rudeness or being arrogant or like dramatic, unrealistic, like, who do you think you are kind of energy. And that leans, that leans very negative. But today, and audacity does have two definitions if you look it up in the definitions. One definition is to make bold decisions, and the other is like an arrogance or a rudeness. But this word has been in my atmosphere lately with one of my internet coaches, Miss Lisa A. Smith. She's been talking about audacity a lot in some of the conversations she's been having. And I always try to think of, when people have conversations, especially people that I respect, like, what can I pull out of this conversation? What can I apply? What things that I may have already done that resonates this that I may not have thought about in this capacity. So when we talk about audacity in today's video, I got my notes because I want to make sure I list everything. Audacity means, when we're talking about audacity today, it means making bold decisions and when you feel like you're not fully ready, choosing yourself. Yes, you choosing yourself, even if it may disappoint someone else. I'm going to share my examples. Trusting your inner knowing outside of approval. We'll talk about that too. And moving forward without guarantees, like moving forward when you don't have a flat out plan, when you don't have everything perfectly laid out, when you have to let the church say, step out on faith. That's all audacity. And that's the way that I'm going to be referencing it in this video. So let me take you back a few years. And the first act of audacity I made. And the thing is, as I tell this, is like, girl, like, I made all of these decisions in 1 year. It was like when the audacity train left the tracks, baby, it was full steam ahead. I was like, audacity, audacity, audacity. So my first act of audacity was leaving a long-term relationship. And I'm not going to say how long it was. I'm not going to get too into details, but I'm just going to say we were together since we were in our 20s and in our 30s. And we were very both heavily focused on our careers. And that was basically it. It was like we were focused on our careers and really not focused on each other. But we were in a relationship for a very long time. And it just came to the point where this isn't going to work. We have different priorities. We have our values as we moved from, our 20s into our 30s have grown, changed, developed, or stayed stagnant. And it's just not going to work. So I left that long-term relationship. That was audacity number one, because this was somebody who, again, spent many, many years together. We supported each other in the best ways we knew how at the time. And we probably both thought we were probably going to spend our lives together. But I had to come to a conclusion like, this isn't really how I desire to live my life. Even though, again, if you've been watching some of my other videos, comfort kind of comes in there. Even though I was extremely comfortable in the relationship in regards to, again, I don't want to say too much, but being taken care of, being provided for, very comfortable. Again, we were both very career focused, and just came to a conclusion that this isn't going to work. So that was the train that left the station. Audacity number one, I left that long-term relationship. Audacity number two is within 30 days of leaving that relationship, I purchased my own home alone. Like, no partner, no co-signer, no nothing. All me, all my money, all on my own. I purchased my own home, which, again, the audacity, not only to do it by myself, because if I'm honest, like, I felt like when I bought a home, it would be with my husband. It would, be with my long-term partner, whatever that relationship would look like. I didn't really imagine buying a place on my own, but we did. Audacity number two again. And then let me see how many months that might have been. Maybe 5 or 6 months after that. Now the audacity train, we rolling, baby. We rolling. About 6 months after buying my condo, that's when I left my six-figure job. That's when I left. I had again, if you watch my other videos, I burnt out. I was burnt to a crisp. I was burnt out. I left my six-figure job. I left the security of it. I left the status. I left the predictability. And I did all of that, all of these things in 1 year. I did all of these things in 1 year. Now, baby, if that's not audacity, if that's not making bold decisions, I don't know what is. And the thing is, I I'm saying this like confidently because I'm looking back, hindsight right now. But I when I left the relationship, I didn't necessarily know what was going to happen, that I was going to, buy a condo. But, after leaving, I got to find somewhere to go. You're like, so do I rent? Do I buy? Having that conversation, I ultimately decided to purchase. And then leaving my six-figure job, I didn't have a backup plan after that. I was interviewing with jobs, and I had landed an opportunity that I felt was aligned, but for one reason or another, we just couldn't come to a salary agreement. And I still decided to leave the six-figure job. I still decided to leave without having another job to land into. So again, there was fear, but not enough fear to keep me stuck in any of these situations. So I also want to preface that audacity doesn't mean like you're not fearful. It's about still moving forward, having faith, having self-trust, not having the perfect plan, not knowing that everything is going to work out okay. Like Like internally, you have to have that faith. And again, me looking back, baby, I knew it was gonna work. Like, why wasn't it gonna work? Like, that's how I felt. And that's when you really have to, that's really standing 10 toes down in audacity. And I have my notes here, like, again, all three of these decisions happened in 1 year, and they didn't come from feeling fearless, having certainty, or having the perfect plan. It was about me being done, just settling or being in misalignment, me trusting my inner voice, me trusting my ability to figure it out, me having faith in God, big God, and just refusing to stay comfortable in places and in seasons that, you know, are familiar. Like, I just refuse to stay there. And again, as I think about that, it's almost like, dang, girl, you did all of that in 1 year. And so again, it wasn't about me being motivated or having resilience. It was about me just having audacity, me making bold decisions to put myself first. And I know many women, probably you too, we're conditioned, we're raised, and we're just of putting everybody else first but ourselves. But it comes to a point where you do have to be audacious, have audacity, and put yourself first. And I wanted to talk about this today because if you watch my other videos, you know that I am in a season of continuing to rebuild, to um, fully move out of corporate America and to fully step into creative entrepreneurship. And in that season, like, I've never been a full-time entrepreneur. So I've always dabbled. I would say probably for the last 6 or 7 years, I've dabbled in creative entrepreneurship while I still had my full-time jobs. But me stepping into or preparing to step into creative entrepreneurship full time, like, there's uncertainty there, there's fear there. I don't have a clear laid out everything path, but I am still doing it. And I wanted to talk about this today because I'm having to remind myself, like, Erica, remember just a few years ago, all these audacious things that you did and things worked out just as they should have. I am telling my own self, while I am sharing with you as well, I need to step back into that, not only step back into that audacious energy, but be rooted in it, because I feel like it changed my life. It did. Making those three bold moves changed my life in ways that I never could have planned for. Like, never could have planned for. And I'm saying all it required, but all it required was me making a bold decision and ultimately trusting God and trusting myself, and then moving forward. So, as I started out with, you don't need more motivation. You don't need another podcast episode. You just need to make one bold decision, because audacity changes things. It changes trajectories. It changes your directions. It changes pattern. It disrupts limiting beliefs. Audacity, baby. Listen, and it's like I said before, it's almost like when I made that one bold decision, the train left the tracks, and it provided the foundation to continue to make audacious decisions. And I love that for me. And I hope that this encourages you to just, like, step out in that one bold belief. If you are in a season where you're navigating how you want to work and live differently, but you're in a place of comfort and familiarity, and just all of the things that we as humans, make us feel safe. Sometimes it's just about stepping out on faith because internally you're being called to it. You got that inner nudge that's pulling you towards it. And it's time for you to make that bold decision. Again, if that's around your health and wellness, if that's around your work, if that's around your career, if that's around building a business, like step out on faith, choose audacity. So, you know that I have some questions for you to ponder on and reflect on. Question number one: where in my life am I settling because it feels safe? Question number two: if I trusted myself more, what would I choose? Question number three: what am I waiting for? Permission or certainty? Because no one is going to give you permission but you. And there is oftentimes we will never have 100% certainty. So, are you going to make a move or not? And what do I need to be audacious right now? If you're a believer, listen, oftentimes it just requires us to build our faith muscle more. I had to learn that, especially this year. I really, really had to strengthen my faith muscle because, again, I'm getting ready to step into something that I've never stepped into before. And again, God has when I look back over my life, girl, when I look back over my life and what God has done for me. Remember that church song? Look back over my life and what he's done for me. I can dance, 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 dance all night, all night. But that's the truth. And oftentimes we forget that. And sometimes it just really takes us to just sit down and really reflect over where he's brought us from, where he's moving us to, and just to step out on faith and make that bold decision. So, the life that you want may not require more effort or more motivation. It might just quite require a little bit of audacity. I'm Erica Prevail, and I share daily conversations helping ambitious women, driven, purpose-led women rework their relationship with ambition, capacity, rest, and creativity. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.